Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, let them eat cake. Mom threatened to deport an innocent Indian family when I came home with less money. My father decided to take the car wheel from my hands in a bad situation and then got angry at me when I stepped on the brake. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Let them eat cake. Long ago, way back in the before time, I worked for one of those bulk warehouse club stores. My trade was simple. I was a wrangler of the Silver Buffalo, and dutifully retrieved the old ghetto strollers I did. The job in and of itself wasn't the worst I'd ever had. I got plenty of exercise, got to be outside, and generally didn't have to interact with the members. Calling them customers was taboo, for the most part. The thing about this job is that the company I worked for had a reputation for being cheap. Thusly, more often than not, I was on my own out in the parking lot. Big whoop, you might say. You gathered carts? You should see how hard my job is. Yeah, well. Shut up. This is my story, but munch. I digress. The reason that being alone sucked is that this store didn't have just one kind of cart. Hell, they didn't even just have two kinds of carts. You had your classic garden variety cart, the kiddie cart with the plastic facade to make it resemble a car, the electric scooters, which weren't supposed to leave the store, but did so with alarming frequency, and finally, the bulky, hard-to-control flatbeds. On top of that, whenever someone needed help loading their haul into their minivans, I was the guy they called. You know, because the greeters, cashiers, and managers were all busy. As you might expect, one man cannot be in multiple places at once, and as a result, on some of our busier days it became incredibly difficult to keep enough carts in the vestibule. Our story begins on one of these days. So there I was, chugging along like a good worker drone, struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of people coming in to buy cheap bulk goods. Sure enough, I get a call on the radio. Manager, SKTCHH, top_gorilla 17. We need you to help some members load their purchases. SKTCHH. Me dash, I'd love to, but I'm barely able to keep up out here as is. Manager, SKTCHH, just do it, top_gorilla 17. You can afford to stop gathering carts for 2 minutes. SKTCHH. Ron Howard, he couldn't. I didn't want to push my luck, so I complied. After spending 20 minutes loading people's purchases, because when one person needs it, suddenly they all need it, I came back to find my vestibule a near ghost town, save for a single line of carts that was half gone, and the Karen. I won't waste time describing this specimen. She was the prototype. You know what she looked like. There she stood, menacing, tapping her foot with such speed that could make any metal drummer green with envy. You could collect the contempt in her gaze in a jar. Karen, where are the big flat ones? I blanked for a moment. Me, I'm sorry? Karen, ugh. Mexicans? For the record, I'm very much white. Karen, where are the flat ones? Me, oh, you mean the flatbeds. I'm sorry, I was just helping some other members load their merchandise and haven't had a chance to dash. Karen, oh my god, I don't care about your excuses, you have one job, and a trained monkey could do it. I just want this lady out of my face, so I don't fight it. Me, sorry ma'am. I'll grab one from the parking lot for you. Karen, you'd better. So I go back out to the lot and find a whole line of flatbeds sticking out of a corral blocking several parking spaces. I push them all into the vestibule where she waits, huffing about how I'm wasting her valuable time. I separate one from the rest and bring it to her. Me, I'm terribly sorry about the wait, ma'am. She leers at me with utter malice. Karen, unbelievable. And with that, she dismisses herself into the store, where she will be someone else's problem. I shake my head and return to doing what I'm paid to do. About 15 minutes later, I'm returning a line of carts when I see her pushing her flatbed to her Miata and jawing about stupid people, most certainly referring to me, on her cell phone. You know what she had bought? What she had insisted on having a flatbed for? A cake. This wasn't even like a big cake. It was one of those little circular numbers, like this. Anyways, I witness as she continues to yammer on about how I nearly ruined I tell you her precious baby's birthday party, when the most glorious thing happened. Still clutching her phone with those Jai scoop claws of hers, she attempts to pick up the cake with one hand, the plastic topper pops off, and she spills the cake all over her undoubtedly expensive designer outfit. Seething with white-hot rage, she locks eyes with me. Karen, you. Get me another cake. Now. Me, terribly sorry, ma'am. I've got one job, and these carts won't gather themselves. I walked away, shit-eating grin plastered on my face as her shrieks faded into the distance behind me. I've had my share of nasty customer interactions before, but this one really took the cake. You know what? For that ending, you deserve an upvote. Glad you enjoyed it, my friend. My name is Karen and you are awesome. You've been waiting a long time for that pun, haven't you? You stole my line. I was gonna say that. Still, the mishap was the icing on the cake. Your retort? Sweet as cake. It was one of my better moments. Usually I do suffer from staircase wit, but this was one of the few times in my life I had the right comeback loaded. You enjoyed that pun way too much. And so you should. The stars aligned for that pun. Between your beautiful writing and the pun at the end, this story deserves way more upvotes. Mom threatened to deport an innocent Indian family when I came home with less money. Hi all, this story is a bit of an old one, so if all the details are there, so I'll keep it short. I think I was about 12 at the time, give or take a little, and was getting pretty good at cleaning. Looking to earn some extra money to eat more food from the school cafeteria, I talked to some neighbors I've spoken to before about cleaning and they agreed. I was so happy to have my first customers. I cleaned for a while. They helped teach my young mind that yes, you need to remember to look above your head for things you can't see to clean. Little but important things like that. They were sweet, and so was their young son, who would chat with me briefly sometimes. I remember he was super shy. One day I had to cancel, I don't remember why, but I promised them a discount because of the last-minute inconvenience. I was trying to keep good business relations, that much I knew when I was young. When I got home, my mom asked how much I made, and I showed her proudly. She didn't even give me a chance to say anything about why I had less money than normal before rushing over to their apartment, and she was gone for a while. I did what I was told and stayed home. When she came back, she flipped at me for not telling her that I gave the discount. She wasn't my boss, I set my prices and I told her why I gave the discount. She just ran off. Still, she scolded me and grounded me, yelling that I should have said something before she left because she threatened to report them to child labor services and have them deported to their own country, and now she's embarrassed. I felt so ashamed and embarrassed, and when I saw the mother again, she was scared of me and didn't want me to talk to her. Wanting to at least try to clear something up, I explained that my mom acted on her own, deeply apologized, then respected her and her family's space and never spoke to them again. I never offered anything to any neighbor since then. They moved shortly after. I hope they're doing okay. Sorry your mom ruined it for you. Sounds like she wanted an excuse to be rude and viscous. Hopefully she didn't do any more stunts like that. Thank you. Unfortunately, her mama bear tenacity went nowhere. She may have started asking more questions for most situations, but over time I stopped sharing anything that could be an issue as it typically went nuclear. Sometimes it was directed at me. For a mom with such a bad attitude, young you sounds like an absolute angel and savvy businessperson. Thank you for your kind words. I've recognized long ago that while I still love my mom, she's got her flaws like I've got mine. Plus, she had me at 18, so she was a little around 30 by this point in the story. I feel I often gave her credit being so young with just her and me for so long. Getting kicked out of the house/family for a while for having me so young may have made her very protective. Can't say though. My father decided to take the car wheel from my hands in a bad situation and then got angry at me when I stepped on the brake. Hi y'all, Candy here. It's been a while since I haven't wrote anything on this sub, even though I have another story ready, beside this one, but I need to finish it. To give some background to this story. Since my parents weren't at home around dinner, my father said that I could either go to the local McDonald's to get something or sort it out myself. I choose to go the McDonald's and he proposed to let me drive his car, a good BMW, I won't give details, cart that I don't actually know how to drive cause it's way more responsive than the one I'm accustomed to. We got to McDonald's and came back with no problems. They arose when he decided to change the plans and make me return home with the car. Now coming to the story. As I said, he wanted to drive back home with his car. He wanted to be dropped off near the end race of my hometown. Only that Mr. Parent of the Year decided to take the wheel from my hands, while near some cars, a wall, and almost on the sidewalk. Some instinct I didn't even know kicked in and made me step on the brake as the car was approaching all the things I listed, but since of the responsiveness I mentioned, it made the car literally halt almost in the middle of the road. Now, coming back to Mr. Parent of the Year, started yelling in my face, punching me, and threatening me to park the car where he told me. Only to change his mind and make me go home, with him aboard, blathering insults and other stuff in my face, and as soon as I tried to say that normally people don't put the hands on the wheel, especially when I'm driving a car like this, that only contributed to escalate the situation further, with more punches, threats and insults. The only funny part in this shitshow is him that he is going by foot from the house to my hometown center, which is a 10 to 15 minute walk on a road with almost no sidewalk for the majority of it. It makes me laugh only imagining his thought process, if there was one. Oh, and also, it's raining, even if not that much though. One last thing, while I was writing this, my mother called, yes, the same person from other stories I posted. She was trying to assert damages, which fortunately there weren't any, that I can see at least. Her other objective was to tell me your father's like this and that I need to have a self-preservation mentality, basically, don't argue with idiots or crazy people, you'll make your situation worse, but put in a way where it looked almost like she too was blaming me for defending myself. I'm glad she agreed with me after I explained her that I understood her point, but her way of putting it was not the best way to comfort your son after getting, basically abused, by your husband. I've gotta admit, that was kinda wholesome of her intentions at least. He struck you and you didn't press charges? My mother used to slap me all the time until I pressed charges. The only way children in adult bodies learn to keep their hands to themselves is by facing charges. Sorry if didn't mention it, but I still live with my parents, so I can't afford in both senses to take legal actions. But it's certainly an advice I'll keep for a later time. I'd have driven straight to the police station and filed a report for assault. While you may be asking about what happened after you break the car, it seems that people are missing the most important point, that unless you know that stopping the car will cause immediate extreme danger, what you did by hard braking was the best response to the vehicle control being taken from you. That you stopped dead doesn't matter, you have no idea what would have happened if you didn't stop, and you would have a difficult time proving that accident damage wasn't your responsibility. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.